people just take running backs like they just stockpile them like it's like canned food or bread and milk. Like I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't really understand that either. But my next point was, okay, those guys I listed, I'm kind of with you. Not all those guys I would even take. Like,
Right?
are we sure McCaffrey's the top guy? Like we touched on this a little bit in the NFL preview, but I can see him getting hurt again week 4, the hamstring, or getting like banged up here and there. And like, I don't think he's the third. ESPN had him like way in front. Like he's gonna like.
Oh yeah,
he's as far as the projected points, like he's way up there. But I think if I had the first pick, I'd either take Henry or maybe Dalvin Cook.
Right.
Barkley.
Really, I think Barkley's a little bit overhyped. But
yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. But I think he's a little overhyped. But Dalvin Cook is good. But something about Dalvin Cook, I don't know. Like,
well, you got to remember. I would take Kamara.
Well, I used to like Kamara a lot, but then I had him. Was it 1 year?
Yeah, he didn't do much.
I think I had him
second year. His second year.
Maybe he didn't do much, and then I got sour on him. Then.
Well, you got to remember too. I mean, Barkley's coming off an ACL injury, so you really don't know what you're going to get from Barkley this year. So it's hard to, you never know. And McCaffrey's coming off injuries too, not an ACL, but and then you got to have a quarterback that can get them the ball, right? I mean, they can run it, but if they're going to be receiving threats, you got to be able to dump the ball to them.
That's another thing. All these guys are kind of receiving threats, but looking at this year, again, I think Kelsey over anybody. But if you want to take a running back, I would say really only Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because like we talked about, McCaffrey kind of has like a big bag running style. He's not a big bag.
Right.
Were you going to say something?
No, I was going to say that. Yeah, I might have very well taken Henry with the number 1 pick, and I got him at 4, so I was very pleased with that.
Yeah,
right.
Because the Titans aren't giving anybody else the ball.
No,
very rarely. And then 2, he's a guy that now, granted, you have to be within 1 score, have the lead, but you can just feed him late in the game and he'll just wear on guys.
Right.
And they don't want to tackle him. He's just a beast. So
I think he gets a lot of his yards later in the game.
Yes. Well, not only later in the game, also later in the season. Yeah. I mean, like late in the season when it's cold and windy. He's great from about week 10 to week 17. He's great for breaking off a couple of 80-yard runs. And that's what makes him so deadly to defense.
And it doesn't matter how durable a guy is or whatever. Like Joseph, the main thing I think with running backs, he needs carries. All right,
no question.
So now, if for whatever, and you what?
I was going to say all the guys I listed off there are going to get carries.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
but
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, to your point, though, if for whatever reason the Titans had a dual back system, I don't know why they would want to, but let's say that Derrick Henry didn't get a whole lot of carries. They had 2 backs.
Right.
Well, he's a great running back. Let's say he's still the same quality running back. He just splits carries. I would much rather have a guy who's further down that list that doesn't split carries.
Right.
Even though he's not as good of a running back as Derrick Henry.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah. So that's the carries, and like you said, even though these other guys don't really split carries, I mean, Barkley's not really splitting carries, but for some reason, Henry, like you said, if anything, some of these other guys, maybe not Barkley, but if anything, some of these other guys, McCaffrey especially, are not going to get as many carries just because they need to give him a little breather now and then, or whatever. But
a perfect example of what you're just talking about is that we took Kelsey and then Kyler Murray. So by the time we could take a running back, we ended up taking Mike Davis from Atlanta. Well, actually, we took him as a second round. We took Myles Gaskin before him, who's rated 22nd according to ESPN, and then we took Mike Davis. But they're both going to get the ball.
Right, and I think we took a receiver before them.
Yeah. So that was around 4th or 5th pick, and they may not be highly rated, but like you said, they're going to get the ball.
Talk about that Mike Davis guy a little bit, because that was somebody that I'll admit I had never heard of Mike Davis before. I've heard of Stephen Davis. So I thought, but the more you talked to me about him, and the more I heard about him after our draft, I think that's a great pick for people.
Well, I was looking at, we needed another running back, so I was searching around for one during the draft when we were waiting for our next pick, and I found Mike Davis. He was in Carolina the last couple of years, and of course didn't get many carries because of McCaffrey. So he signed a free agent contract with Atlanta. Atlanta doesn't really have a running back, so he's going to be their guy. He's going to be probably their top 2 or 3 down guy. So I thought, what the heck, we got nothing to lose.
Was he the guy that was getting most last year when McCaffrey was out?
He did. He got a lot of carries last year because McCaffrey was hurt, but he was a free agent and he saw the writing on the wall.
And like you said, Atlanta didn't really have a guy. So
no, they didn't. They didn't have a guy at all that could really run them, and they need a running back badly because you got to take some pressure off of Matt Ryan.
Yeah, and I think that was a great pick for anybody out there listening. And then you're big on what's that guy's name? Harris,
Najee Harris. Yeah,
I mean he's 12. Everyone knows of him. I think.
Well, I think he's going to be the guy. The Steelers need a running game badly, and he's going to get a lot of carries if he stays healthy. And I think he's going to be a very highly. I predict right now. We'll mark this down for next year's fantasy show. I think, barring injury, Najee Harris will be in the top 3 next year of running backs.